Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a word you probably heard a million times in English class, but it might just be one of the most powerful and misunderstood ideas in all of storytelling: theme.
All right, let's kick things off with a question I know you've asked yourself, probably at 2 a.m. staring at a blank page. Why on earth did our English teachers go on and on about theme? Was it really just so we had something to write essays about?
Well, as it turns out, the answer is way bigger than just getting a good grade. The reason it's hammered home is because understanding a story's theme isn't just an academic exercise. It's actually a core skill for seeing the world through other people's eyes and, being a more thoughtful person in our community. Okay, so with that big idea in mind, let's get down to brass tacks. What is a theme, really? Because it gets confused with a couple of other things all the time. The Iowa Reading Research Center gives us a really solid definition. A theme is an underlying idea or value that you see woven all through a story. But listen, the most important part of this whole definition is this. It's a general message. It's something you can take out of the book and apply it to the real world. And that brings us to the number one point of confusion: plot versus theme. It's simple, really. The plot is just the stuff that happens, right? The sequence of events. The theme, though, is the message about what happens. It's the so what of the whole story. It's also totally different from a topic. A topic is usually just one word, like love or death or war. A theme is a full sentence, a complete thought about that topic. It's the author's take on it. So the topic might be love, but a theme would be something like love has no boundaries. See that? One's a category, the other is an argument. Okay, so let's tie this all together. Themes are big, general ideas. Perseverance is a theme. Harry Potter being brave at Hogwarts, that's a plot point that shows us the theme of perseverance. The dangers of prejudice is a theme. The specific things the Logan family goes through in a story, that's the evidence for the theme. All right, enough with the theory. Let's see how this stuff actually works in the wild, right? We're going to dive into a classic and honestly pretty terrifying short story, Jack London's To Build a Fire. So this story about a guy trying to survive the insane cold of the Yukon, oh man, it is just dripping with powerful themes. You've got man versus nature, the difference between wisdom and just knowing things, and the deadly danger of being arrogant. And here is where it all comes together. The man, he's new to the area and he completely ignores advice from an old-timer and the gut feelings of his own dog. His huge mistake, building a fire under a tree loaded with snow, that's not just a clumsy moment in the plot. It's everything. It's a perfect symbol of his arrogance. His human brain fails him, while the dog's pure instinct was screaming, this is a bad idea. Okay, but now we're going to get into the really juicy part of this whole conversation. We're going to challenge an idea that, honestly, most of us were taught as fact in school. You know these lists, right? Of course you do. We've all seen them. Love, death, good versus evil. They're presented as these giant universal ideas that connect every single human being across time and culture, a kind of greatest hits of the human experience. But what if that's just not true? What if calling something universal actually makes our world smaller, not bigger? This is a fantastic point from Amanda over at Bookish Brews. She argues that what we call universal often isn't universal for everyone. It's really just universal for the dominant culture, and it accidentally implies that other ways of experiencing the world aren't as important or valid. I mean, just take love, right? Seems pretty universal, but an author pointed out how some readers will actually criticize Asian American books because the parents don't say, I love you. Instead, love is shown through action, by providing, by making sacrifices. It's a perfect example of how even something as basic as love isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. And think about it. Our own lives are the lens we read through. So you might read a fantasy story about a princess and see love and wealth. But someone else, maybe someone whose family has a history with colonialism, they read the exact same book and see themes of imperialism and oppression. Same words, totally different story. So if a theme isn't just a mirror always showing us a reflection of ourselves, then what's the point? Where's the real power in all this? And the big idea, the real game changer, is to shift how we look at it. What if we stop looking for a mirror? What if instead we started looking for a window? What if the point of reading isn't always to see ourselves, but to get a real, honest glimpse into someone else's world? Because when we lean into themes that are super specific and maybe totally outside our own daily life, we're doing something incredible.
We're exercising our empathy muscle. We're building our ability to genuinely understand another person.
And this brings us right back to where we started. Remember that line from the curriculum guide at the beginning? This is it. This is exactly what they were talking about. Reading about experiences that aren't our own is what makes us more informed, more engaged people.
The author Justina Ireland puts it perfectly, I think. She says that compelling stories give us this powerful lens to understand the world and how it works. And once we have that understanding, we have the tools to actually create change. So that's the big idea I want to leave you with. The next time you open a book, don't just hunt for the familiar, for that mirror reflecting you back. Ask yourself a different question. What window am I about to look through?